music. You know what time it is. Don't mind our offbeat dancing.
What do you mean offbeat? I was on beat.
I was talking about you, not me.
I was on beat. I'm sorry, we can't all be gifted. My bad. This is Just Shoot Me, season 2.5.
Yes, 2.5. I am Shay, a.k.a. Shay the Shooter.
And I'm Kristin, the boss. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back to you, Kristin.
Welcome back to you. I know. I feel like we've worked together a bunch, but like I feel like I just haven't seen you. Like other than work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because this doesn't really work for us.
But we're gonna do.
We're gonna do better.
So
yeah, we're going to WPPI this year together. Hopefully, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've made a concerted effort to make sure. I'm proud of myself. Katie's proud of me. I'm totally, and I'm driving. So
You're driving. I'm flying.
I have some equipment with us, so we can do some shoots if we want. We're gonna have lots of opportunity to have lots of fun. Yes. There may be a drink or two in there at some point.
We're going for St. Patrick's Day, which I didn't know till I talked to one of our models. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remind me.
So we drink on the podcast, so we'll definitely be drinking in
some capacity.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh.
Which, if it was anything like, let's see, we didn't go last year, the year before.
Yeah, the year before.
If it was anything like that, it'll be fun.
It should be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Too bad Brandon's not joining us this year because he'll be in training, finishing training. So
yeah, working hard. There you go, fighting for our freedom.
So I'm flying his little airplanes, just training those guys. So we'll that's kind of my big life update though. Is people have not realized or have realized, I guess I haven't yet to move.
Yeah, you're just you're just kind of hanging out.
We were supposed to move. Let's see what
will do that to you.
It'll do that to you. It's what, February? So
yeah.
We were supposed to move in August, and I'm still here. And thanks Air Force. But I guess he'll move in April. I'll finish school with the kids, and then I'll move in June after weddings, and then spend the rest of the summer there getting acclimated.
Yeah.
And then I start flying back and forth in September.
Woo.
Woohoo! I'm excited. It's only a quick hour and a half flight, so.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
That's not bad.
Hour and a half is how far is the drive to the flight?
Oh, like an hour and a half.
Okay.
So it's like going to Phoenix, it's not bad.
That's not bad.
And I've got housing here, with my folks, and then the car, so it's I don't have to like charge travel fees, so it's nice.
I'm
digging
nice.
it. I'm digging it.
So what are you going to drive your dad's car, or are you going?
Yeah, I'll drive my dad's truck,
okay,
and then
so I know if you guys are going to leave something here and then pick up something.
We were
new.
going to. Yeah, we were going to, and then the more we talked about it, my dad's like, "No, just drive the truck," and hopefully that gives him an excuse to buy a new car for himself, and
there you go.
Because I'll be doing a lot of driving.
Everyone needs an excuse to get a new ride.
Everybody does, except not your excuse though. Not having a crackhead run into you, but.
Yeah, the funny thing is I'm doing so the company that I was working for doing that shoot on my way home when I got hit.
Yeah.
I am going to shoot there this Friday, and I'm excited to shoot again for them because they're a great company. I love working with them.
Yeah.
But I can't help but always think about on my way home, I'm taking a different route.
Yeah.
On the way home today, not today, but when I shoot that shoot.
Oh my God.
But I haven't been back there since then, and I'm like, I remember. That it's just that's what comes to mind.
Watch out for the crackheads.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go a different way.
Yeah, don't go the crackhead route.
Stay away from Miracle Mile.
I was gonna say stay away from Miracle Mile.
Stay away from Miracle Mile.
It's funny because the gem show's in town.
Yeah.
And I was at Boot Barn. I'm always at Boot Barn. And I was shopping, and this guy was there, and he must have been picking up something. And he was in town for the gem show because he was chatting it up with the receptionist, cashier, and he's like, "Oh, what are some fun things to do in Tucson or whatever?" And she was like sitting there thinking. He goes, "What's this Miracle Mile I keep seeing?" And I'm just sitting there giggling. And she's and he said it wrong the first time though. I don't know what he called it, like something mile. I don't know. And she was trying to figure out what he was talking about. And he's like, "Yeah, is that a pretty cool historical site?" And I'm laughing like, "Oh my God, very historical."
Very historical.
And when she finally realized what he was talking about, she's like, "Oh hell no, don't go there."
Yeah,
like, absolutely not.
Is it appropriate to say historical for hoes?
It is one of the longest working professions. So
streetwalkers.
Hookers and blow. So but yeah.
This is a family show, by the way.
It's kind of, no, we cuss.
Yeah, we cuss.
It's
Remember,
PG.
Justin told us we need to cuss more.
Justin did, and that is the biggest takeaway I think we got from his episode. Cuss more.
All right.
We're relatable. So that's my life update.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
just wedding season, kids growing up.
I know your kids are getting so
almost
big.
4-year-old and a 2-year-old now, so that's always exciting and
crazy
fun. And if they were here, they would be climbing on this table right now, asking what all these things all these bottles on the table are.
Can we do an episode one day with your kids?
Absolutely,
let's totally do it. That'd be hilarious.
They would love it. They love being in front of the camera.
Let's
they love talking.
Let's do it.
They don't stop talking.
They don't stop talking.
Yeah, they
that's
don't stop
true.
talking. So yeah, we should do we should definitely do that. We got to have Emma here, and
Emma would love it. Bryson wouldn't care.
Yeah, Bryson would just be there.
He would just be in the background like, ugh, are we done?
But they're all like kind of step, you know, with them. So that's
that would be fun. Let's do it one day.
Bryson's like a grown up compared to them.
He's like, he's like 3 inches taller than me now.
I was about to say, how much taller is he than you?
Yeah, he'll be 6 foot next year easily, I think.
Wow,
that's crazy. And he's only 13, so it's nuts.
No one ever said I wish I was shorter.
No.
I mean, so I mean, there's that.
Well, it's weird, like trying to like chastise or punish him, you know, because I'm like looking up at him and being like, you can't be doing that, and he's like looking down on me, and I'm like, it just doesn't feel like anything I have to say has any leverage over him or anything. Like, it just doesn't. I mean, those of you that have taller children, you know how that is. So,
I mean, I hope Caleb's taller than me, but probably not. Katie's kind of short.
Katie's short, but you know. Yeah, his one rebuttal to me is like, how's it feel to be short? And I'm like, I'm not even that short. Like, you're I'm 5'7". Like, it's not. I'm average. I'm very, very much average. And I'm like, you know, dude, go to your room. You know, give me your phone. Yeah,
go to your room.
So that's
So those are our life updates. Obviously, we have a ton of work life updates. You know, just kind of keeping busy with shooting, studio stuff, shooting weddings, and all kinds of stuff like that. Kristin, of course, is shooting all the weddings and family shoots and all the things.
Doing all the things, man. It was a good wedding season for the, what do we call it? Like the fall wedding season for Tucson. Because, you know, the wedding season in Tucson lasts from September till May, really, which is a fairly long wedding season anywhere in the country.
Yeah, we get, you know, 3.5, 4 months maybe that it's not really, the weather's not great. Sorry for you who don't have great weather.
But you know what? We are starting to notice, and we just talked about this the other day, we're getting some very odd bookings. We're getting a lot more for June. And I think people are realizing that some venues offer like summer discounts. A lot of the venues are offering indoor options because they're starting to put in air conditioning. Like, they're starting to see the benefits of these things. And the summer weddings, you know, they're definitely... I've talked to a couple people who are like looking at getting married in the summer, but they just want somewhere with air conditioning. And that's cool. With air conditioning, and in Arizona, the chances of rain in June are slim to none. You know, I mean, people, I guess all over the country. I mean, elsewhere, rain is very unpredictable. I mean, you get it 50% of the time of year, and in Arizona, you just don't. So yeah, we're I mean, that's a blessing and a curse. It is. It's a blessing and a curse. It's nice, you know, for golf and stuff, but it's also not good for golf. Yeah. It's not good for, you know, dryness. Well, I think that's another reason too that it's so nice to be able to keep my business here, is that I know I'm getting consistent work, because the wedding season's so long. In Oklahoma, the wedding season is not as long. And I think it's off months compared to like what it is here. Yeah, that makes sense. Most places aren't off for, you know, I used to go down. I used to travel, like when I did, you know, more traveling. It was always in the summer because it was nice everywhere else and not here. So that's a cool benefit to that. It is. I'm excited though. So yay! Keeping it. Let's move on to our favorite thing ever. Yes, but we've been waiting for for 3 freaking years. Kristin has been waiting for this like forever, and I'm going to I'm actually going to tell you what she said when it went down. Like, because in true Kristin fashion, like, you can't make this stuff up. Well, because you guys have been lying to me for like 3 years. It's not been lying. It's been everybody's been lying to me for 3 years. Nikon's been lying to me. Okay. John's been lying to me. You've been lying to me. It's everybody's fault. But it all comes down to Nikon's lied, and those lies have just trickled down to everyone else believing Nikon. But this time, they are not lying. They have released the 35-1-2. Kristin is such a 35 shooter that she broke hers, and she's had mine for the last 2 years, and now she gets to get a new one. But funny story, I haven't used it for like 2.5 years because I'm a 1.2 snob now.
50.
It's the 50.
Yeah.
So the 50 and the 85 1.2s I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
And like if I could have those never leave my camera, I would never have them leave my camera bodies. Like because they're so creamy. And you started that. You started that. Everything about these lenses is so crisp and so perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, the glass is beautiful, the bokeh's beautiful, everything's beautiful about these lenses. So the 35, I used to only shoot with 35s, really. Like that was my bread and butter. And so I had the 1.8, and I was like, okay, this is fine. It's fine. You know, you can make stuff. It's fine. Mm-hmm. And then when you turn me on to the 50 1.2, and I bought that, I that doesn't come off my camera when I'm doing like family shoots, engagements, all that stuff, because it's just so crisp. It's a perfect balance. You know, it's a great balance.
It's going to be hard because now I'm like already with the 35. I'm kind of like, you know, maybe I should go to 35, 85 as my
right.
Just like my standard carry.
Well, and that's a good. It's a good balance.
Yeah,
it's a very good balance.
So I'm excited for that because I do, 50, 85
right.
now. And sometimes I just want to be a little wider, a little bit more environmental. Yes. And so then you have to back up. And then it's just not the same feel. But the 35 will also allow you to have that intimate feel with people as well as getting that environmental feel as well. So I'm excited for that. But I'm not really a 35 shooter. So, but I'm going to figure it out.
Well, I think it's because we got so used to and spoiled with the 50. Mm-hmm. And the way that I look at it now too is after every wedding I go back and I kind of analyze to what I've shot the majority of my day with. Yeah. And so the majority of my day I shoot with the 50. I think I'm turning into Tim a little bit. And I think it's just because he's rubbing off on me in that.
Yeah.
And again, that lens is so beautiful. And so what I analyze the most though is bridal portraits. Like what do I shoot most of my bridal portraits with? Now I tend to go out probably 9 times out of 10. I will do bridal portraits with my 50 and my 85. And what I've noticed though is about maybe 90% of their portraits is with the 50 and only the 10% with the 85. And so there's just not a big enough gap to even need 2 bodies for it. So it's like, okay, how can I change this up a little bit too? So I think that 35 is going to be a great balance to do the 35 and the 85, because then I'm going to get more of that wide shot. And then I'm also going to need that 85 more to get more of those closers. Yeah. And so it's kind of nice because you can shoot more. You're not going to have to move as much because you can get those 2 different aspects, in one shot in one place. Meaning you can, if you're not moving as much, you can also change more positions, more posing, more things like that. That's my mentality, at least of thinking. And I want to see what the balance is going to look like. I could be totally wrong, and I may end up doing the same thing and just end up capturing more of their bridal portraits in a wider fashion. I don't know. We're going to find out. It's been so long since I've shot with a 35 because I've been so spoiled with the 1.2. It really makes a difference. Mm-hmm. It really makes a difference. So I'm definitely, obviously we both love our 1.2s, and I shoot with mine like crazy, but I'm excited. What I'm most excited for the 35 is, like I said, the environmental stuff, getting a little bit more of the background in the photo. Yeah. But also, like, I get to shoot my sunset pictures with the 1.2, and I'm just like excited to play with that because that's gonna be epic. Like a 50 is a little too tight for the sunset stuff. It is.
Most of the time, obviously you can get it, but it just for sunset you obviously want to show the sunset.
Right.
So that 35 will be good for that, and just to be able to drop down to 1.2, it'll be fun to play with that. I am super
I think
stoked
so too.
about that.
I think of the venues too around here that we shoot at all the time, and I'm thinking of like Sombrero Peak, like being able to get that just everything in there without having to back up and then lose focus on your couple too a little bit. You're getting it all, and you're getting that it's just I think it's gonna be amazing. I'm so excited. I've seen a lot of the test shots that they've done, and I'm just my god.
I watched the videos. What's funny is I did a shoot for a resort recently, and we were doing environmental stuff, like we wanted to show the resort and the stuff, and so I had to not shoot everything at 1.2, and I was like, oh my god, I like this too. Like, I've gotten so spoiled with like just doing that, but it was nice to like go up to f5.6 to get like mountains like crisp as well as the Now you don't have to have that, but for what they wanted, you know, and
You-
they
yeah.
needed that, and it was really cool. To see. It was like,
Situational and-
you know, sometimes I don't have to shoot at 1.2, but I am.
But I am.
But I
Yeah.
am.
You know, when I'm on my 1.2s, I don't really move them unless, you know, it's like, oh, you're okay. I'm doing family photos or
Yeah,
something. And I've
yeah.
got to like get every, you know, a larger family photo, whatever. But when I'm on my 1.2s, I like to stay on my 1.2. Like
Yeah.
now, for whatever reason in my brain, I'm like, well, then I'm just going to put on my 2470 and just bump it up to 2.8, even though I know I can easily do that on the
Yeah.
1.2. It's something isn't just
Yeah, it's
instilled in
like-
my mind. Like, nope, it's a 1.2.
It's a
I'm going to
1.2,
stay on that. That's
and
what this lens is
we're-
for.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. No,
So,
I am the same way.
I am the same. And well, I don't know, maybe you rubbed off on me on that because you know, use it.
So speaking of ratios, I know we didn't talk about this, but let's talk a little bit about lenses that we use at a wedding. So let's just say 4 lenses that we have to have at every wedding.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk more about, you know, the lenses that we use too, because we both have kind of made a little bit of a switch
Yeah.
as far as some of our long stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So actually, and it's a good one because when I'm traveling back and forth, I'm not checking my gear. I'm not putting that under the belly of a plane. That is going to be under my seat with me.
Yeah.
You're not
overhead.
overhead
Yeah.
something. You're not moving it. Like it's going to be with me. So I'm going to have to downsize my bag. Right now I use that large think tank bag. I think it's more for video. But it's
The one I gave you?
Yeah.
I'm
No,
such a nice guy.
no, the big one. I got the
Oh,
big.
you got
big
a big one?
You've seen it. I've had it for like a year and a
Oh,
half.
it's like the one that Cameron has?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
No, the
yeah.
smaller one that you gave me is the one I travel with now.
Okay.
But I used to use that one for everything.
Yeah.
But then I outgrew it. So that's the one I'm going to be using to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, I have to downsize. So I need to start shooting as if I'm traveling all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be putting.
Yeah, so that when you do travel, you're not feeling like, I don't have all the
Right,
things
I don't have all
need.
my things. And so I think I'm back in my prime phase. Because I go through the phases, you know, where it's like,
yeah.
okay, you know, my adjustable focus. And I think I'm back in my prime phase. So my go-tos now, and I
Yeah.
think will be my traveling ones too, is going to be the 50, 85.
Yeah.
Definitely bring the 35.
Yeah.
And then for sure my 135, which is... I didn't think, stop calling it that. You and Evan are disgusting. I didn't think I would love this lens as much as I do. And I think I ordered it. What was it, like last year or something?
Yeah, like
or
the end of, was it?
Was it the end of 23? No, it was like
was the
beginning
middle.
of 20. Maybe
It
it
was
was
the
middle
middle.
of
It was the
24.
middle of 24,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that. Because I think I was realizing, I was like, oh, I need more tax write-offs. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm just going to order something because like I didn't necessarily need it, but I also saw what you were creating. And I was like, maybe I do want it. Okay. So I ordered that. I think I ordered like a macro lens. And I use
Oh, the
that.
one-
The
you got the
105.
105,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I use that. That one I won't be traveling back and forth with.
Nah,
I don't use
you
it
can borrow
enough.
mine whenever you need it.
Right.
I
You're
don't
like,
even use it anymore.
yeah, just leave it at start ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I love this 135. The 7200 I've not touched since I bought that 135.
Yeah, I've definitely gone away from the 7200. It's a great lens, obviously. It's
Right.
It's money, but man, when you have that 135, and the 135 is a 1.8.
Yes.
So it's a money lens. It's just
It's
fun.
amazing.
It's fun to shoot with.
It
and
is.
It's fun to like create with. It's fun to like just figure out what you have to do to get the shot you want.
Yes.
You know, and especially in a ceremony situation,
Yes.
it's really fun.
I really like to shoot, and that's what I use
Yeah.
it for, is ceremonies. I don't think I've used it for anything else. And I've shot at plenty of venues with it. And so, you know, everything's circumstantial. Everything's so different at every venue. And I don't think I've ever shot a ceremony where I'm like, I wish I used a different lens.
Yeah.
Like that was the lens it's kind of the be all end all for
Yeah.
ceremonies for me. So I think what I'll do for ceremonies from now on is that, and maybe the 35,
Yeah.
and get those wide shots.
Yeah,
Like,
that's good. I mean, obviously, it can change a little bit depending on
Sure,
venue,
sure.
but I think, you know, overall that's a solid plan. And that's why I think I'm the same. I think I'm in the same exact
Mm-hmm.
boat. I think I'm gonna go the same exact lenses. Like I mean, it's gonna be hard not to have the 2470,
Mm-hmm.
just because sometimes you just really need to go wider. But I think I'll be fine with the 35. Like,
I mean, I might bring it with me just because, you know, that 24 aspect is kind of
Yeah,
nice.
it's nice
but
to
I do
have.
have a 24 as well.
like a
just a 24
one
prime.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it too. It's I only use it for video.
I think Steven, I think, was considering buying it.
Yeah, I offered him to. I was like, you can use it until you don't need it anymore. Because
Yeah.
I don't use it that much. But
I don't even think I carry it in my bag.
and I have the 17 to 28 now too.
Okay.
So but that's on my gimbal because it's nice and light and it's really cool on the gimbal with the Z6 III.
Oh, cool.
It's really fun to use. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's gonna be hard to leave because now, I mean, it's actually not going to be too bad because, yeah, it's going to be hard because I still have my 7200 in my bag, but I don't ever bring it out because I'm like scared that I'm going to need it one day and then I don't need it.
I carry mine too.
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, the way I have my bag set up, everything is perfect in a place.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I could take that out though to put the 35 in because
Yeah.
I'm going to need a spot. But I'm like, what if I need it? So it's like, what do I take out to put that in, you know? And I carry I carry both of my Z9s and then I have my Z8. And then I also have another little spot for a film camera. So I'm like, maybe I take the film camera out. But I also like to use that too every once in a while. You know, it's so hard. But the must-haves, because you get asked too every once in a while. I recently shot a wedding where there was another photographer there. And she wasn't shooting or anything, but she was a guest, and she was kind of like, you know, she kind of following just to like see what we were shooting with, and she was, you know, asking me questions throughout the night, which was fine, and she's like, so what are you shooting with now? And she was really interested, and I have no problem sharing knowledge, like it's fine, no big deal. And she was interested in the 135. She's like, wow, like it didn't occur, you know, to her, like, oh, like that's what you could use, like that's cool. And so I like to, you know, share that.
I think when people think primes, I think they just really, for the most part, you think of like 35, 50, 85. And that is the
trifecta.
The trinity. That's the trinity of primes. And by the way, Nikon is the only one who has the trinity and 1.2.
They are.
So, not that we're Nikon lovers or anything, but
we're whores.
That's just facts.
We're Nikon whores.
That's just facts, though.
I mean, it is. Well, Canon, I'm sure, will release a 1.2 at some point for the 35.
And Canon and Sony's rebuttal is I think appropriate as well. Well, Nikon doesn't have a 24-70 2.0, and I'm like, yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't.
But you know, but it's okay because you know what? No, I'm not gonna say it. It's okay.
We're good.
We're good. We're good. I said I was gonna be nice this year on the podcast.
Oh, there we go. I love it. All right, so that was a little impromptu. We just wanted to talk about lenses. I wanted to talk about the 135, aka creamer. It's very creamy. It's just the creamiest lens.
Why does that sound like a Ninja Turtle bad guy?
I don't know. I was trying to figure out how to incorporate moist in it, but I couldn't figure it out. So we just went with creamer.
Oh, you and Evan aren't allowed to work
together. The lens is very moist,
disgusting.
though. I'm just it's very
moist. That doesn't even compute.
Yeah, it is. It
no,
competes.
It doesn't. No, no.
Have you
disgusting.
seen a waterfall, and it's just how moist it is?
No, that doesn't even. You're done. You only had half a drink. You're done.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Finish your shot.
But creamer. The name. My 135 is called creamer. Evan named it, and we love it. This is what it does. It's just.
So let's get into weddings a bit. You know, this podcast is not just for wedding photographers. We're going to talk all genres and stuff throughout the year, minus shit we don't know. We'll have guests on for that kind of stuff. But for wedding season, you know, we want to touch on some topics that are good for vendors. We want to touch on some topics that are good for brides and grooms. And I think with the upcoming like spring portion of the wedding season here for Arizona, you know, big things are coming where brides and grooms are finalizing timelines. We're working with vendors to finalize things. And we get a lot of questions. I think the biggest one, of course, is about timelines and what time your ceremony should start. And a lot of the venues around here are great with working with vendors about timelines. And they're great about what? Are you giggling about?
They're good about working with.
Okay.
That's the timelines. Yeah. I thought you were going to say something else, and you said that.
What?
Nothing.
What was I going to say? Okay.
I thought you were going to say like that the venues kind of leave it to the brides and grooms to like determine sometimes.
Okay, but they do. But what they say though is ask your photographer.
Yeah.
So which
or your DJ
or your DJ. Yeah, ask your photographer or DJ. Now, your DJs are great. But unless they're like Shay, who is a photographer too, a lot of times they don't really know, because the DJs will be like, oh, do around sunset. But they also don't know, did you want to do a first look? How big is your family group for photos? Or groupings for photos, things like that. So brides and grooms, my biggest piece of advice to you is ask your photographers. Photographers, if you're going to argue back on this, you shouldn't be doing this, I think, because you're putting this in your hands, which gives you a lot of, and I don't want to use the word control because that sounds too controlling, but
but that's what it is.
But it's what it is, because
you control, because you have an advantage to know. I mean,
yeah, you know,
that's one of the things as professionals. There are things that we should, and I feel like it's our responsibility to do, that they don't know. Like,
right.
We're if you say, I want to start my ceremony at 8:00 at night, you're like, you know what? I understand you want to start and it's your wedding, but as a professional, I need to tell you that that's not a good idea.
Exactly. And these are the reasons.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So it's okay to be, there's the controlling part is necessary.
Some situations. Yeah. And I agree, because it's one of those things, with, and I actually had a venue one time respond with like, oh, your photographer should be able to shoot in anything if they're a professional, which, okay.
Pause.
First of all, pause, and we killed it. But here's the deal: when you have a bride and groom who hire you for a specific aesthetic, and they want to do golden hour photos, but you tell your bride and groom to have a literally like after sunset ceremony, and they don't want to do a first look, they're not getting golden hour photos. Yeah. So you have to really trust the process and ask us ahead of time, and really work with us too on this timeline, as well as the venue. So the venue clearly did not handle that one appropriately. Yeah. They were also hosting 2 weddings that day, so that was on them, with one wedding coordinator. So that was why they didn't want to change the time. But we are not, again, I'm going to be nice. But yes, please go through your photographers, because we're going to ask you the appropriate questions to help you with your timeline. We're going to ask you, are you going to do a first look? What is your family photo list going to look like? So we know how much time we need to spend on that. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do family photos ahead of time? Do you want to spend time with your guests during cocktail hour? All of these questions, we can send you in a questionnaire, email, whatever, however your photographer wants to do it. I personally do a questionnaire, very well laid out, send it your way. And we're going to help you pick the appropriate ceremony time, so we know how much time we need for before and after photos. Some brides, some brides are very traditional. They don't want anybody to see them before the ceremony, and that includes guests. So we need to know, okay, if we're doing like bride and bridesmaids photos, where on the property can we hide you, and how much time do we need to, use basically for this? Yeah. Do you want to join cocktail hour? If you do, great. We need to do your bride and groom photos before or after cocktail hour for at least like 30 minutes, so you have time with your guests. I mean, there's all these things that we need to do. And do you have a wedding planner and coordinator? Are they skilled in this? Like, are they brand new? Are they seasoned? I mean, like, do they want to have their hand in this? There's a lot of components that go into this, and we all want to work together to help you have a stress-free, seamless day.
Yes, and also for brides and grooms and for vendors, get familiar with the venue and what their rules are as well, because a lot of venues have timelines as far as like you may have the venue all day, but your event can only last for a certain amount of time. So that is something that plays a big part in when you can start your ceremony and how much time you're going to have before and those kind of things. So it's nice to have that knowledge before going into, because if a bride and groom want to do certain things, but they only have the venue for say 6 hours, and they have to start their ceremony because it's the winter time, and they have to start their ceremony at 4:30. And so then they have 6 hours, so they're going 4:30 to 10:30. Well, then that kind of puts some limitations on what you can do, and and things too. So make sure there's a lot of, like I said, just try to work with everybody as best you can, because there's a lot of moving parts that happen, as well as, you just can't go, well, we're going to do it this way. Right. When there are things that they have limitations, the bride and groom have limitations on the venue and so as a vendor, it's nice to know that, so that while you're doing those questionnaires, while you're doing those meetings, going over timelines, you can like, hey, I know you want to do this, but this is, how that goes. And here's another good example of that, of understanding the venues and how things work. We get a lot of people, because we do the DJ service, we get a lot of people who go, everyone wants to dance at the reception and have a good time and get to that dancing, and totally understandable. And as a DJ, that's what we want to get to too. We want to, we want to get to the dancing. We want to get to the part where we can have fun with it and everyone's having fun. So in process of that, trying to get to that as fast as possible, one thing we get a lot is that people are like, hey, we want to do our toast during dinner.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Are you having, so now the next question is, are you having, and even if I know the answer, I just kind of build on it. Like, hey, are you having a plated dinner or are you having a buffet style dinner? And that plays a big part of it. And so then they say, we're having a buffet style dinner. And you're like, okay. So having a buffet style dinner, the problem with starting your toast during the dinner is that people are walking through the buffet line, so you can't really do a toast while people are getting up and down and walking through the buffet line. So if you want to start it, this is the kind of alternative. We can start it 10 minutes after the last person has gone through the buffet.
Yeah.
Little things like that, where if the vendors are attuned to what the venue does and how they do things and how the flow is, and then having the experience to go, hey, I can foresee this being a little bit of a problem because this is how this works. And so just making sure that you kind of understand the whole process of, not just your job, but other parts that can affect your job as well.
Right. Definitely. And I agree with that 100%, and being considerate with all the venue and vendors as well. Like I agree with that 100%. And I think that communication is key.
Yeah.
Key.
Sure.
God, we've done weddings where we have just sat down to eat or whatever, and then the DJ will start with, and now it's toast time or whatever, and they don't even tell us.
Yeah.
And we'll even communicate ahead of time, be like, hey man, we're just going to be right out here, just chowing down real quick. Can you signal to us, come let us know when you're starting toast? And they'll start, and I'm like, bro, come on.
Another benefit of like when I'm working photography at a venue where we're in charge of the DJ.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that happens, we're firing you right on the
spot. Yeah, we're firing. You're done.
Not often the photographer has control of the DJ, but this is one of those times.
Well, and I think it's super important, not really photo related, but hire a good DJ. I see in these Facebook groups, and there's a million of them, the Facebook groups like the bride and groom, Arizona bride and groom or Arizona weddings or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, we're not going to get a DJ. We're just going to have a playlist. I can't tell you how quickly a Spotify playlist ruins a wedding. Oh, man. There's no flow through a reception. Sorry, ruins a reception. The wedding is probably fine, but like the reception, I can't tell you how quickly that ruins it, because there's zero flow. There's zero there's nothing that amps up the rest of the night. Mm-hmm. I've seen absolutely beautiful weddings just absolutely come to a halt at the reception because they decided to, and I understand budgets, I really do, but they've decided to cheap out on having a DJ.
Yeah.
Or they get somebody just starting out who's like, oh yeah, I got a laptop. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. Why it's so important, guys, to mentor with somebody in every single industry or part of the industry before going solo, because that kind of crap happens.
Oh yeah.
You've got to have a seasoned, good DJ who knows what they're doing. Also who can read the room.
Yeah.
I feel like some people can't read the room.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it really kills a reception. And the reception is a lot of time, you guys want to party. The bride and groom wants to party as much as everybody else, and that's what they're there for. They're like, let's say our vows and get this done, and let's just go.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to remember on not the biggest thing, but one of the things to remember on a DJ that I think gets kind of lost is that the DJ is also your MC. He's the master of ceremony. So the DJ is not only just playing music, is part of it, but your DJ is also the one who is the frontline communication with your guests, telling them what's going on and explaining to them, whether it be, it's time to move from one section to the other. Yeah. We're done with the cocktail. We're transitioning into dinner. If you can please make your way to the dinner area. As you make your way in, this is assigned seating tonight, so make sure you check out the seating chart. It's on the right as you walk in. Little things like that where your DJ is actually, not just playing music. They are actually facilitating the entire wedding so that your parents and you and the vendors are not stressed out trying to say what's going on next, what's happening now, what are we going to do, how is this going to work, and waiting for songs to be played because it's on a playlist and you have a friend who's got to run over and unlock your phone and then and change it. So so the DJ is not just because I do DJing, but it's a very important part of it. The DJ is photographers a lot of times are more than the DJ as far as time spent at the wedding because they start so much earlier, and a lot of times go to the end of the night. But the DJ,
you're there at the end of the night. You finish with them. I mean,
yeah. So the DJ is there from,
Yeah.
is there the entire time. From the time the prelude music starts and guests start arriving to the time you do your last dance, your private last dance. Explaining the sparkler send off. If you're doing that, the DJ is facilitating all of those things.
Yep.
So. You definitely you don't want to skimp on that, and you want to make sure, and you want to make sure you find somebody who fits your personality a little bit too, because there's DJs who talk a lot, and then there's DJs who make jokes, and there's DJs who just are super professional and say the things that need to be said and communicate, but don't make it about themselves.
I think your team does a really good job about that. Like, you guys you're not up there to hear yourselves talk.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, I love that about you guys, because there are some DJs I've worked with that they just love to hear themselves talk. And by the time they're like 5 minutes in talking about where the bathrooms are, I'm like, bro, give it a rest.
Yeah.
Like, everybody just wants to get on the dance floor. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I always tell them less is more.
Yes.
Tell people what they need to know.
And
repeat
let's
it.
go.
Yeah, say less, but say it twice. You know what I mean? And then so that make sure that people hear it, and then it's not about us talking, and that's another thing that's really nice about being. We're going on to we're off topic.
We always are. It's fine. You guys understand that that's.
One of the things I love DJing, off site, but when the venues where we do the on site, where the house DJs, it's really nice because we can really focus on the actual venue and the couple and making sure that everything goes well for them.
Right.
Like, it's not about me trying to drum up more business and make myself look cooler so I can get more business. It's about my interests are the bride and groom, that wedding, and the venue.
Right. Yeah. But in that actually leads into our next topic, though, is that when you guys get there, you're starting a setup a couple hours before ceremony even begins, but you're communicating with the officiant right off the bat, and you're miking them up, you're working with them, you're letting them know where to stand if anything, you're starting all of this, and you're also kind of facilitating things like, let's get into this, the unplugged ceremony. So if it's an unplugged ceremony, or even if it's not, you're communicating with the officiant to remind everybody that it is an unplugged ceremony. Yeah. You can have signs up the ass that say it's an unplugged ceremony, and you are still going to get great Aunt Karen twice removed who think the rules don't apply to her. She's going to stand up with her phone in the middle of the aisle. So the officiant is a great, second, words are hard right now, but he's going to be that second person to remind everybody, sit your butt in your seat, stop sticking phones out in the middle of the aisle, put your phones away, put your cameras away. You're not taking pictures during the ceremony because they want you to be present.
I think the officiant's the best person
They're
for
the best
that
person.
job, actually, because people are looking, when they stand up there, everyone's looking, and if they just take a 30-second time to go.
That's it. You walk up there, and the DJ's great because you play the music to have him, or he just walks up there first, and when you're miking them up, it's a good time to remind them, like, hey, just remind everybody that this is an unplugged ceremony. Takes 2 seconds. They do it. Officiants up there, remind them it's an unplugged ceremony. Unplugged ceremonies are wonderful because, you're not everybody's present. That's what you're there for. Are you going to look back at that picture you took and wanted to post to Instagram immediately, a year from now? No, you're not.
Yeah. So quick little note, what I do on the DJ side of things, when I mic'd up the officiant, there's 3 things that I always talk to the officiant about. The first thing as I talk to them about is that, making sure there's 4 things. So making sure they project their voice, just because you have a microphone on doesn't mean you should whisper.
Right.
And then the second thing I say is, do you do this all the time? And depending on what their answer is depending on what I say, but essentially what I'm letting them know to make sure that you don't forget to have everyone sit down. That's the one thing that they always forget to have everyone sit down.
Because they usually do.
Yeah, the next things I talked about is the unplugged ceremony, and if they're making that announcement, or they would like us to make that announcement, it's more impactful if you guys make the announcement. Is, yeah. And then the last thing, I just drew a blank on the last thing.
Is it move for the kiss?
Yes, the last thing is move for the kiss. So I'm like,
thank you.
Are you moving for the kiss? Are you going to step to the right or left? Have you talked to the photographer? That kind of. Those are the 4 things that I always say to them before I start, just so that it puts it in the forefront of their mind. Because a lot of times, in officiant's defense, a lot of times because the laws are a little bit different in each state, but you might have somebody who just signed up online and they're just, they're officiating, and that's perfectly fine. Your wedding is just as legal as if a priest or, a minister did it. It's fine. But because they're new and they're new to it and they don't do it all the time, sometimes, people get nervous and they forget things. And so, it's nice to remind them, especially the sitting down thing, because if you don't do it, everyone's standing up, and then it's easy to get everybody to stand up. People are going to stand up when the bride walks down the aisle, but the sitting down thing, sometimes unless the officiant said something, they won't sit down. There's been so many weddings where I've had to go to the front and go have the parents sit down, and then everybody starts to sit down. It's like, okay.
Did you ever see that video of the priest? It was an outdoor wedding. It wasn't even like a church or chapel, but the priest was up there with the bride and groom. And I guess the photographer and videographer got too close to him, and he turned around and started screaming at them and was like, "This is not a fashion show. Get those cameras out of here," or whatever. And the bride and groom didn't know what to do. They were just standing there like we hired them kind of thing.
Yeah, like kind of.
What would you do?
All on the same team.
Right.
Like we're all on the same
team. But he
team.
was absolutely nuts to them. Like, what would you do as a photographer?
I've never had a situation like that. In a church, I have had like a priest look at me like, what are you doing?
Get out of here.
And so I just went to the confession right after the wedding and got over it and moved on. No, I'm joking.
I was like, no, you didn't.
No, I didn't. But, like I have told priests and ministers, mostly, priests and in Catholic ceremonies, I was like, hey, we're on the same team. Just so you know. I just want to throw that out there. Like, these pictures are not going on my above my fireplace. They're not,
right.
We're both doing a service to the bride and groom, and you're getting paid to do this. I'm getting paid to do this. Like, we're trying to, they paid us to both to do two different things, but we're on the same team. Well, and I've never had anybody I've had a couple looks because they're just like, how dare you talk to me like that? But but I've never had anybody go, you're wrong.
Right.
And so it's and I've only done it like once or twice when you just have people who are just a little bit overbearing, and it's like, this is my moment to
And it's always good to ask, like, if you're in a church or whatever, it's always good to ask, like, hey, where can I not go?
Yeah.
Like, it's better to ask where can I not go than where can I go, because they're going to tell you where you can't go more.
They're going to come.
I know there's some churches, I've done some weddings where in this one church in particular here in Tucson, that you have to sit down. You can't move. Like, once you pick your spot, you can't move. And the bride and groom each time were not aware of that. And I'm like, so they don't tell you that when you pick the place. First of all, they don't tell you that either when you do your rehearsal.
Yeah.
And so they're, and obviously, we did our best. Obviously, we got what we needed. They only let you move when they're leaving. They don't even let them kiss in the church.
Yeah.
So everyone's different. So you just ask what you can't do, where you can't go.
Really, really quick story about church ceremonies. So
God.
Yeah.
God. Sorry, my bad.
I was doing a church ceremony, and we're talking about before, and they kind of started giving me all the rules. Like you were saying, like you can't stand up, you can't be in front of the last person, you can't walk on the sides, you can't go on the altar, you can't do this and that and all that stuff. And they're giving me all these rules. And I kind of just looked at him, and I was like, okay. And he's like, if you do, I will stop the ceremony. And, God didn't want photos, and this is not part of the, this is not how it should be. This is a really a sacred part of the wedding, and you can't take, you're not doing this. And I was like, I'm going to do what you say, but I also know that when the Bible was written, cameras hadn't been invented yet. So there's no way they're talking about cameras people not being photographed and memories not being captured. They're just not, it's just not that way. And he just kind of looked at me and couldn't believe it. And I was like,
how dare you pick and choose what parts are not in the Bible?
Yeah, and I said, I don't mind following your rules, but these are your rules.
Yeah.
This is your preference, and this is, how you want it done. Yeah. And this is your house.
Then
but
just say it that way.
Don't make it about God. It's about you. And,
just say it that way.
Just say I don't like that because it's just not what I like. I'm not a picture person, and I don't think people should get pictures.
Just tell me the rules and we'll follow the rules.
Yeah, but don't make it seem like, I'm like less of a person because I don't understand that God doesn't want this. Like, that's not how it works.
And if there's ever a portion you don't want photographed, and if some churches don't like the preparing of the gifts, in Catholic ceremonies, they don't like that part photographed. We won't photograph that. That's fine. And I know that there's more churches that don't like that part than ones that are okay with it. So I just don't take pictures during that part. I sit down. That's fine. I mean, I don't think any bride and groom is going to look back and say, "Oh, you didn't get pictures of that." Nobody's going to look at that and be upset about it. Like, I'm sorry, but if they they go to church every Sunday, they see it. I mean, that's not a pivotal part of their marriage ceremony at that point. Like, just tell me what not to do, and I will not take pictures of it. And it really goes for any ceremony anywhere. Like if there's something or a person you don't want photographed. I've had weddings where the the bride's brother does not get along with his wife or something. I mean, she has straight showed up in a sparkly white dress. I can remember one very vividly.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember you told me about
yeah. It. She's like, do not take pictures of that woman. Great. I won't. At all.
I tell people during weddings, they're like, hey, I want a picture with these people, but they don't get along that great. And I'm like, I don't know that.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell them to do it, and they'll do it because I don't know the history of everything.
Right.
So I'll be the one to get that shot for you.
Right.
Yeah, I do that all the time. So.
I mean, just communicate. Communication's key. So it's great amongst vendors, great amongst brides and grooms, and us. Please just tell us. We'll work with you.
I was thinking as we were talking about that and how off track we got. It's awesome.
What we do.
Yeah, it's so what we do, but it's like first episode back in.
100%.
Loving to chat and kind of let everyone know how the experiences that we have and just kind of helping out. And so it's so fun to just really just like get into the talking about different things and stories and stuff. And so sorry we got off track. We had like a whole list of things, and we're just doing our own thing. We're going rogue.
Well, but that's okay. So I don't know if you knew this. So this is a life update.
Oh, life update.
So I actually got my official ADHD diagnosis and OCD diagnosis. So growing up, I was like, so you have anxiety, growing up. So you have anxiety. I didn't really think I had anxiety. Like everybody's anxious, right? Everybody has anxiety, right?
Situations.
So it's like, certain situations. Okay, cool. And as an adult, and I'm starting to like learn myself more and, whatever. And more things I do and in certain situations. And I'm like, I know I have ADHD. Like, I know I do. And I know I have OCD like that. I know these two things. And so I would talk to my doctor and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, I'm positive you do too. And so I finally got like actually tested for both of these things. And I got an official diagnosis now. And now my life makes total sense.
There you go.
It makes like everything I do, it makes total sense. And so these kind of situations where we absolutely go completely off topic and I like to dominate conversations and I like to contribute to conversations makes total sense. And so the other day I was doing this engagement session and it was a lovely engagement session. The couple was beautiful. It was fine. But there was a lot of like awkward, quiet moments. And I think it was because they were shy and like, we didn't know each other, that kind of thing. And I think I made some really just like stupid random comments in there like a couple times. And I actually finished the session with like, and I'm so sorry if I repeat myself a couple times. Like I have ADHD. And when I got in the car, I literally did one of these, what the fuck? Like, why would I say that? Like, you're an idiot. And I've had a lot of those moments recently. Because now I'm just like, I'm fully embracing the fact that I'm a freaking idiot.
Now I know.
Yeah, now I know a lot of my squirrel moments are for a reason. And yeah. So that was great. And so again, sorry, we just went off topic again because anyway. Cocktail hour. So a lot of brides lately have been joining cocktail hour. And I love this because you have guests flying in from all over the country, sometimes all over the world to come and attend your wedding. And then a lot of times they don't get to communicate with these people until the reception. Yeah. And then this holds up portions of the reception because I will see sometimes a DJ like going up and being like, hey, we're like 15 minutes behind, 20 minutes behind, because you guys want to go around to each freaking table and we didn't talk about that during your DJ meeting and now we're 45 minutes behind. Okay, because I didn't get a chance to communicate with people. And I get that. Yeah. I totally get both sides. Like we need to stay on track because, hey, your photographer leaves in like an hour and you're not on track.
Yeah, we got first dance. And we
haven't done any of these and you want them photographed. Yeah. And there's a lot of things. So again, timeline prep is very important. But a lot of times, yes, we get it. Not until the big day do you start seeing these people and you want to spend time with them.
Yeah.
I think they should join in cocktail hour.
Yeah.
But it depends.
Yeah,
because we have a lot of things to capture.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of when first looks become important.
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of talk about both of those things.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want to start for? Cocktail. Well, let's start about first looks.
Because, people, I think, traditions. So a lot of people want to stick with traditional things because that's what what you should do. Like, why do we carry bouquets of flowers? Because back in the day, people had such horrid breath that we're trying to mask their breath. That's why we carry flowers.
Yeah, no deodorant.
Yeah.
Showers weren't every day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's a beautiful tradition that we should keep with because it's just that extra aspect. Otherwise, what do you do with your hands? So first looks, I think, are a great thing. I love them personally. I did one at my wedding because we're not people that are like, let's get in front of a camera. Like you'll never see a ton of random pictures of me and my husband. Like we just aren't those people. I kind of kick and scream when I have to do like branding photos because like I will always say we have to do these and let's go do them. And then how often do we actually go through with it?
Yeah.
We did it once. Right?
Yeah. We had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun.
We had a ton of fun.
We should do it again.
I just posted that picture. I just posted that picture as my profile picture. I love that.
We had such a good time. I loved that time. We're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
And hey, when we go to Vegas, we'll do it again.
Oh yeah.
So we say it.
I might be drunk.
It's fine. We were drunk
You
then
were drunk.
too. It's fine.
When you say we, you mean you?
Hey, I got a lot of work off that photo, okay? People are like, oh, she's fun.
Yeah.
You won't see a lot of pictures of us, we aren't picture people. So to get the nerves out of the way and stuff, we wanted to do a first look. Mm-hmm. And it was just something very special with us, and I'm glad we did it. And then we got to do all of our photos with our bridal party ahead of time.
Yeah.
A lot of family photos too. So we're at the end of our ceremony. We got to have our ceremony too closer to sunset. We were on a golf course and we had the view of the Catalinas and stuff. I mean, it was beautiful. That's what we wanted. So doing all of the first look and all the photos beforehand, we got to have time then afterwards to, mingle and stuff like that. However, my wedding planner, she was wonderful. I love my wedding planner. She was like, you guys will appreciate time by yourselves and stuff. We literally sat in the little room where people were getting ready and we just were like, what do we do?
Yeah,
like we didn't even have cocktails. We were just like, what do we do? And we sat there for like 30 minutes. We could have joined in on our cocktail hour, but like our guests had a wonderful cocktail hour. I wish we joined in on cocktail hour. Like I had friends coming from Texas that I hadn't seen since high school. And I mean, we were 30. Like I wish I could have spent more time with them. I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea if you do a first look.
Yeah, I think, the first look, I'm a photographer. I'm so biased to the first look. I just think that there's so many good things about it, but at the same time, if it's not what you want, it's not what you want.
Right.
And we're never gonna push you to do that.
No.
But I do think that, during the DJ meetings, a lot of times you get to see what couples don't talk to each other about.
Yeah.
Because you bring things up and they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like we
Right.
never even discussed that.
Right.
So I think that, for our couples and also for our vendors, like, having some way of reminding them like, hey, think about this, think about that, because
Sure.
those are like, if you want to spend time during cocktail hour, then, there are, it's not just that simple, like, hey, let's go hang out during cocktail hour. There's other things that you have to do, but so you have to plan for it, but it's cool. And I've had a lot of couples recently want to do that, hang out at cocktail hour and so that they can hang out with the guest and but then, it's kind of like one of those things, some people think it like detracts from, it's kind of like the first look where people go, well, if he sees me then, I wanted his first look to see me when they walk down the aisle, but it's a different. It's a different emotion. It's a totally different.
You don't have to have your veil in. You don't have to have your bouquet either. Like you can do a totally different look in a way as well. But emotion-wise, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like it is a total different emotion because you are surrounded by your family, your friends, the people that have watched you grow up and raised you guys to be what you are, and damn well you would not be there at that moment without any of those people around. And so it is a totally different emotion. And then being alone with your partner, an hour beforehand and seeing them and knowing like that's the last time you're going to see them alone before they take your name or before you exchange that first kiss in front of all of these people who raised you. It is a totally different emotion. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think the ceremony, two things. I think the ceremony is controlled emotion. Where you're looking at this person and you're seeing them and you're emotional, but you really can't do anything about it other than just look. because you got all these instructions happening during the time.
You do.
And the officiant's talking, and so it's controlled emotion. The first look is not controlled emotion. It's like,
It's
obviously,
the real.
you get to, really, if you see your partner and you want to give them a hug, or you want to give them a kiss, or you just want to say, I love you so much. Oh my God, how beautiful you all look today. Like, oh my, just whatever you feel like you want to say in your heart and your mind, you have no restrictions on doing that during a first look. During a ceremony, you do have those restrictions.
You do.
So I say that's one of the biggest parts of it for me, as far as like trying to explain to people. And then the other thing I say, especially it comes to the guys most of the time. If he's gonna cry during your first look, he's gonna cry during you walking down the aisle,
right?
Because it's a different emotion.
It's a different emotion.
It's a different fix. So
and sometimes the guys, I mean, let's be face it, in the culture that we live in too, like guys aren't going to be as emotional in front of their friends as they are just in front of you.
Yeah.
So sometimes they won't cry in front of everybody else. And I mean, I've seen tears just pouring like water. Let's keep the waterfall analogies going today.
Yeah.
Tears just coming down the cheeks like waterfalls when it's just the two of them. And it's that real, true emotion. Yeah. And then I have seen nothing during the first look until the ceremony. And then suddenly it's, oh my God, this is so real. And this is it. And this is, it's either way, however you choose to do it, it's going to be a beautiful thing. And it's up to you. And we would never pressure you either way to do whatever you want. And no vendor should pressure you. We just give you the options.
You should talk about it. You should
talk about
discuss it and make sure it's right for you guys.
We just give you the tools and the info for what your day is looking like, where you're at, what time of day, all that kind of stuff, especially if you're set on a ceremony time. Like if you are set on a sunset ceremony and you are absolutely set on not seeing each other, but you're still expecting, and demanding almost, like, because I've had demanding people like, we want golden hour photos, just the two of us, then you've got to get everything else done beforehand. So how are we going to do that? We'll come up with things together.
So fun fact, as I get older, I cry more at weddings.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like I cry harder, if I'm going to cry, during a first look and private vows.
Oh, I do too.
It is crazy.
And as photographers, we're trying to not make ourselves obvious and make it about ourselves. So we're hiding behind our cameras and tears.
That's the real reason I have a big camera.
Yeah, me too.
Like so that I can hide my whole big face in front of it when I'm crying and like.
Me too.
Yeah, because it's,
Well, and you can't help but get close
toast.
to. I cry at toast too because, there's some of these people, some of our couples we get very close to, and you can't help it. Like, there's a family in particular, and I'm sure if they listen to this, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, that's us." But the Neely boys.
I knew you were going to say that.
The Neely boys.
You love them boys.
I love them boys because you know what? I shot all three brothers' weddings, and all three of their wives are as lovely as they come. And you know what's crazy about this one is what is it? Like 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's the brides that find us and talk to us. And it was Tristan, the first one who found me, and he's like a photographer too. And so he was like, hey, I love your work. We're getting married in Phoenix and, would love to talk about you doing our wedding. And we chatted and it was immediate like connection. Like we hit it off. We had the best time at his wedding. Oh, yeah, his bride was oh my God, she's she's a model. She needs a model. And we had just the
maternity model right now.
They're about to have their first baby girl. Oh my God. Like we had the best time with them and their family. Like that's what it was is and especially like his family, like the boys. I
remember his family from that wedding. I remember his family more, his dad and his mom.
Like they were just wonderful.
Everybody was great, but
we just hit it off. And we all just hit it off. Yeah. And then like a couple months later, his brother hit me up and was like, "I'm getting married. Tristan says I got to book you now because you're going to get booked." And sure enough, that's what happened. And then the next brother, you had to miss that one, which was unfortunate. But Evan did a great job. We had a great time. And then the last brother, and I
cried at that wedding.
Oh, we cried. Yeah. Because and I think a big part of it was because it was like, oh my God, we've been here for this whole thing. They're all their memory, and it was the end. And we were just it was so sad because it was like, oh my God, it's the end. And then I think I even said something to his mom. I was like, what do we do now? And she goes,
you might have been the most emotional person at that whole wedding.
I probably was. And I'm sitting there trying to hide. Because were. And it was, I think it was during him and his, no, it wasn't him and his mom's first dance because they started doing like the wobble or something that. And it was so funny. But it was like one moment and I'm just like, in
I mean,
tears.
even during the family pictures, you're just
yeah,
like,
and they had me come into some family pictures, which
absolutely.
was so cool. Like it's we get close to these families, you know, and you can't help but get emotional. And this is another reason why I just absolutely love what I do. And I never thought I would find a career where this is how I would feel about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think people grow up and they, you know, they're like, oh, I want to do this when I grow up or whatever. And they, I mean, 8 times out of 10 don't do what they think they're going to do when they grow up. And I never wanted to, like, you know, sit in an office and work. And that's what I did for the longest time. You know, I worked in like healthcare and I worked in an office and I hated it. And finding this and doing this and having moments like those, even when it's hard, make it totally worth it.
Absolutely.
And so
it's the coolest job ever.
I love it. Yeah. I love our job. But yeah, that's one of the families that I remember explicitly. And I mean, there's other families too, where, you know, you watch one bride get married, one sister or whatever, and then they refer you to their other sister. And, you know, I've had that. And you get close with the family and you just show up and all of a sudden the family's like, hey, it's great to see you again. And it's like, exactly. My heart.
It's fun. Then the family pictures and all, it's really a cool experience. And
it's amazing
to see the families grow and stuff. My favorite things have been like where I've done someone's wedding and they had no kids or one kid.
Yes.
And then, you know, over the years, now they have 3.
Yes.
It's just like, oh my God, I've seen you guys grow. And then we go do the family pictures and they all know me. They're like, Shay.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is super cool.
Well, it's wonderful when the kids start to know you too, you know, and they're
and you work through that stage where the kids are so hard. And
then
they become easy. And you're like, I remember when you were hard work. I chased you around for an hour. And now it's like, they're just like these photogenic little models. And
yes.
Like, I earned this.
I earned
this.
This is for me, guys, not you.
It's
a wonderful feeling. Yeah. I really do feel so blessed about our job, and it's just what makes it all so worth it.
Absolutely.
And just another reason I'm not ready to leave Arizona, and I'm not for the next 4 years. Yeah. Like this is so yeah. So
we are blessed.
We are blessed.
Work with great people and families and just like
the vendors too. Yeah. We have great vendors. There's so many vendors
and venues
everything. Yeah. I mean, I love that the venues know. And the vendors know, too, that I'm going to a different state just to live. And then they're still recommending me and they still want me to come back. I mean, I had Andrea at the farm and she's like, hey, I know you're moving, but do you want to be like one of my vendors? And I'm like, dude, yeah. Like, absolutely. Yeah. I love that place. Kelly at Stardance has been phenomenal for us over the years. We love her. She's just been fantastic, and I love Stardance. It's just one of the most.
We don't have another hour to talk about.
I know, but we love Kelly. I know
Kelly.
Can we dedicate a whole episode to her? But let's get into the last topic we wanted to talk about today, because it is one that I see that comes out in a lot of these forums, a lot of these groups. Let's talk about the tipping culture in our industry, basically. Yeah. I see a lot of this coming from brides and grooms, which is how much do you tip your vendors?
Yeah.
Tipping culture has gotten crazy out of control, I think, in this country.
Yeah.
You know, when we went over to England and Ireland and stuff, you know, it's not a thing. You don't tip. Yeah. And I thought it was so bizarre. I was like, Brandon, tip. And he's like, you don't tip here. And I was like, tip? Like, what do you mean you don't tip? Tip. And he's like, you don't effing tip here. I couldn't comprehend this.
Well, I think that's a good example that tipping is something that it's never required anywhere.
Right.
But it's just more, I take it as more of a personal thing. Like it's something that I do because I want to do it. It's not some rule that I'm following.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
Like even when I get my photos taken for branding stuff, like even if it's our own team people, like tomorrow I'm doing photos, like branding stuff that I need to do because I need to have updated stuff. And I need to get photos taken of the horses before we move them. You know, they're coming with the stock of them, obviously.
There you go. Thank you for telling us the real reason you're doing photos.
What? Shut up. I have to get updated stuff because people are like, wait, your hair's longer. I'm like, I know. But Jen and that problem. Yeah, you don't have that problem. I did see a picture of you with actual hair though before. So Jen and Tim
born bald like my whole life.
You're born bald, I bet.
Yeah, I was born bald.
Jen and Tim, like Jen's doing video, Tim's doing photos and stuff, and so I need stuff for my website, things like that. So, you know, I'll tip them clearly, like you know, and they don't have to charge me whatever it is, like, you know, because we're all team stuff. But I'm obviously going to pay them full price. Obviously going to tip them. That's what, you know, we do for each other. And surprising grooms, they're like, what do we tip and stuff like that. Now I've gotten $20 tips. I've gotten $800 tips. Like, I mean, I have gotten, and I don't ever walk into a wedding expecting it.
Never.
You know,
Never.
we set our prices to support ourselves. You know, that's how it is. Like, we don't ever expect tips. We're not telling you guys tip us $800. Nobody has ever walked in to say that. I mean,
No.
This is, and we're not going to do any less work either if you don't. I mean, I think the tipping culture has gotten out of control. But I mean, do we ever expect it? No. Do we appreciate it? Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I think vendors that, because I've known vendors who kind of like think like, why didn't they tip us? That's not right. I'm like, if you're gonna do that, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
100%. 100%.
Because it's just, it doesn't have anything. A lot of times, it doesn't have anything to do with your performance or how you were, your professionalism, or any of that stuff. It's just they're not thinking to do that.
Right.
They don't know to do that, or it's just not what's comfortable. Some people do, and they're just like, we have it set aside for you. And I've gotten tips from different ways too. Like I've had people tip me before the wedding starts, like, here, envelope with your name on it. Like, here, I just want to make sure I give you this.
Yeah.
But I've also had people come up and say, oh my God, here's some money. Like, you did a great job. I wish I could give you more. It was amazing. Like, it just, so it's not, there's no,
we are appreciative you went with us.
Yeah,
that is the bottom line. I mean, I don't care if I walk away with what my service price was, or if you gave me a tip. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. So I think when people ask in those groups, it's your prerogative.
Yeah.
Tip who or what you want. Yeah. That's kind of my prerogative, I think.
And I think about it, and I've told a couple couples this that were like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't tip you. I didn't bring cash. I didn't think about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just happy that I was a part of this.
Yeah.
And like, the biggest tip you could ever give me is tell your friends I did a good job.
Referrals.
Yeah,
we
tell your friends
love
I did a good job.
Or a 5-star review on Google.
Like
I mean,
that
that's
means so much more.
That means a ton. Like, we love that. Referrals are great, and positive reviews are great. We love that. So I think we covered a lot today, and brides and grooms, a lot of that was for you. If you had any questions or anything that you just really weren't sure the answers to, hopefully that answered some. If you have any questions too that you want us to address on the next episode, please ask us. Message our Facebook page, message our Instagram, hit us up directly.
Yeah, we'd love to. We should do that. We should, if we start getting a lot of questions, we should do like a Q&A.
Let's do a Q&A.
At the end, we'll just do.
But don't be gross.
No.
Or be gross. That's fine.
We'll have control over which questions we.
Well, no, but then because I'd want to answer the gross ones.
I know, nasty.
Whatever. Okay, creamer. All right, guys, we are going to keep on top of it this season. We have promised.
We have made a vow to ourselves and to you to like really be on it because we love it. And we get a lot of people, I get a lot of people asking like from different walks of life, like, oh my God, we saw your podcast. We love it. We love it. Like whether they're venue owners, people who are married, people who are getting married.
Bates loves our podcast.
Yeah, Jerry's talking about it.
He loves our podcast.
He told me about it too.
So Jerry, this is for you.
All right, so I'm Shay, a.k.a. Shay the Shooter.
You didn't finish that. I'm the boss.
Ooh.
Have a great day, guys. We will see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.